This morning, after holding a defense meeting with the Prime Minister and the main ministers, and during this meeting we decided what our response should be to this barbaric act. An individual took a truck and murdered people with it. Why Nice? Because it is a city that's known around the world, one of the most beautiful cities in the world. And why the 14th of July? Because it is a day where we celebrate freedom. This was a direct attack against France, and that is why this individual committed this act. With the Prime Minister, the Interior Minister, the Social Affairs Minister, and the elected officials who accompanied us, we first of all looked at the organization for today. We looked at what we need to do for this entire region to make sure we can guarantee security going forward, to make sure that we can make sure that no accomplices could threaten the population. But we also wanted to express our compassion to the victims, to their families. As I'm speaking to you now, 80 people, 84 people exactly have died. And there are around 50 people who are in critical condition. Amongst those victims, there are French people and a lot of foreigners as well. People who came from every continent. And there are a lot of children, young children. Children who came to see the fireworks with their families, to experience the joy of the event, to share the amazement and the joy, and who were attacked, killed, in the most cruel way, to satisfy the cruelty of a single or perhaps multiple individuals. We also saw the wounded. There are lots of them. They have terrible images in their minds. And their bodies are wounded, but their minds are wounded as well. And there are other people who were not injured themselves, but who will, for their entire lives, carry with them these horrifying images that they were unfortunately witness to. Some may not remember what happened exactly, but people will remember those disfigured bodies that they saw. And that is why all of France shares in the solidarity and in the emotion of this moment, alongside the victims, with their families, with their loved ones. And then we have the commitment and the courage. These are things that we once again saw with the security forces, who were all available, who did everything to make sure that they could protect this firework display as much as possible, as was the case during the European Cup here in Nice. And the security forces stood up to the plate and neutralized the killer. As I speak to you, I still have in my mind those young police officers who acted to make sure that the killer was himself killed, to end his acts. Our security forces were entirely committed, and they have pushed through everything that's been asked of them since the last attacks in January and in November. I'd like to commend them all of these security forces. They are the pride of France. I'm talking about the police forces, the gendarmes, the intelligence services, people who are working on the investigation, on the identification of the bodies. Then we also have the firemen who did an amazing job working with the ambulance teams in the city and outside of the city. Many establishments opened their doors to the wounded today. I went to that hospital, a hospital that has amazing staff, doctors who came in even though they weren't on shift and worked throughout the night to save lives and to treat the wounded. Up until the very last minute, everything that was possible to do was being done in the hospitals. And I would like to commend all of the staff in those hospitals for their exemplary behavior. And then we have all of the volunteers, all of the associations that stood up to the plate. This commitment is a lesson we must learn from this tragedy. It is something we can remember from this tragedy. As once again, it has shone through despite all of the events of these last 5 years. This will be a long-term situation because we are facing an enemy that will continue to strike at the heart of any enemy, any country that has freedom. In this fight, we can count on the commitment of our public services, our public officers, and of the public at large. With the Prime Minister, over the last months, we have taken decisions to ramp up the numbers of services which have been going down over the last years. And we will be continuing to be vigilant and to work for the French people. This commitment also means strength. The whole world is watching once again, is expressing its solidarity to us once again. The world is telling us with words of affection and friendship exactly what the world thinks of us. They think that we are a strong country, a country that can overcome any challenges, and we have experienced many challenges over the last months. We have shown a shining example of unity, of cohesion. And this is my role, this is my responsibility to not let myself get waylaid from the commitment I have towards the French people, to not give in to any excess when I need to bring the correct response to the challenges that are being put before us by deploying all of the means we have available. And it is this cohesion, this unity, this strength that I would like to invoke in Nice today so that France can be stronger than those who would wish to hurt her. Those who are attacking her, who are making her suffer, but they are evil and we can overcome them because we are France and we are together. Thank you.